Well, back to one of our headline stories now. Tshwane Metro Police say permission for a march organised by a civil society group scheduled for tomorrow has not yet been granted. Civil groups and trade unions have been camping at Pretoria's Church Square since the beginning of the week to voice their grievances following President Zuma's cabinet reshuffle. The march, which is expected to attract thousands of people, is intended to force Jacob Zuma to step down as president. Tshwane Metro Police spokesperson Isaac Mahamba says they're still waiting for pending papers from the march organisers before they can grant permission. Meanwhile, motorists have been advised to avoid the Johannesburg CBD between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. tomorrow due to a march by members of the Democratic Alliance. The march is part of the DA's program of action to call for President Zuma to resign. Several roads in and around the CBD will be closed to traffic. The ANC has called for calm ahead of the planned marches tomorrow. Well, it's been a busy 2 weeks on the political and economic front, and it doesn't seem like it will be slowing down anytime soon. There have been more resignations from MPs, and of course is tomorrow's March of the People. To talk a bit more about this, I'm joined by General Secretary of FEDUSA, Dennis George. Mr. George, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
All right, so there are quite a few angles we can approach with this interview, but I want to start by looking at tomorrow's march. I mean, you represent workers, and there have been calls for businesses to let people go and attend this march without any sort of penalties. But then you get the ANC saying that if there's a shutdown, not specifically with the march tomorrow, but if there was any sort of shutdown, it would be bad for our already fragile economy. But we wouldn't be having these marches if it weren't for the discontent within the public.
Yes, no, look, I think it's the government and the president wants to blame everybody for what is going on. But I think he must take responsibility for his actions, because on last week and Sunday, the Minister of Finance, or former Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan, and business leaders and labor leaders who are now going on our third trip, where we engage with investors and engage with rating agencies. And the president, you know, is a person that doesn't learn from his mistakes. On the 9th of the 12th, 2015, he did the same thing, where he dismissed Minister Nene. Then he quickly called business and labor in. Please come and help government out. We went, we stabilized the situation, and after the people came back, his stormtroopers were the main people that started to harass the former Minister of Finance. You know, the hawks were telling him he must come to court, and the rand was going up and it's going down. So it is the government that is responsible. That's the reason why South Africans are calling across the board, from churches, from religious organizations, from trade unions, from business people, are calling for the president to do the honorable thing and step down.
So can a march like this really work? Is it not just cathartic? I mean, for people to gather and to unite, will it have the desired effect? Will it cause the president to say, all right, I'll step down?
Yes, look, you see, the whole issue is this. I saw what you were saying, and I heard what you were saying, say, look, the police say there's still some papers and there's still some this. We saw also last night a group of thugs went through Church Square and burned some of the tents. This is now clearly a pattern that we see happening. And we need to warn the government, and we also need to warn the ANC, because their people are talking war. They say they're going to bring war veterans that must now come and protect. None of those marches are marched to the Latuli House. The people want to express themselves. The ANC and the government doesn't have a monopoly over what people can say. This is a democracy. And the reason why we sit in this problem is because the president doesn't have leadership skills. He doesn't know how to lead people. Everything, he waited till 12 o'clock in the night. Then he wants to make an announcement to catch the... And now, you know, everything is in chaos. So what we say is this for the police, that they must be subservient to the Constitution of South Africa. They must allow the people to march, and they must allow the people to express. And these marches are not going to stop, because it's a rolling mass action. On the 18th in Cape Town, we're going to have another march where people are going to march in their thousands. Then on the 27th, on Freedom Day, we're going to march. We're going to march until the president is going to decide to step down.
There are concerns also for the integrity of the National Treasury, especially with the recent resignation of the DG. What do you make of that?
Look, the whole thing is this, because for a very, very long time, government did not want to accept that the Treasury and our Treasury were occupied by the people with the most integrity. People trust Pravin, they trust Minister Jonas. Even the DG said, look, let government do what they want to do, because they always wanted to be in Treasury.
Yeah.
See? So now we can see, already it's not even a week, and the management of the economy is chaos.
Yeah.
You can see today there's 7 banks that also have been downgraded. You see, the president and the ANC is so clever. Let them sort out this problem.
And with that, I mean, there's this view circulating that a downgrade doesn't mean much to the man on the street. But what are your concerns for the wider economy, for jobs?
Look, that propaganda that people say a downgrade wouldn't have mean anything.
Yeah.
Go and look at Greece. Go and see what happened to the real people. So you can try to spin a story. I can tell you now, food prices are going to increase. The government president had a meeting with the Reserve Bank. I don't know why, but because the Reserve Bank is supposed to be independent. If the Reserve Bank see money flows out of the country, the Reserve Bank are going to be forced to put up interest rates. We know that petrol prices is going to increase. So this particular whole situation, or the way the economy and the way that this thing with the finance minister was handled unprofessionally, and it was also handled unethically. Because the president never came to the people and said, look, this is the reason. He tried to come with a story of, no, we want an efficient government, we want an effective government. But why doesn't he fire the ministers that doesn't deliver? Why do you dismiss people that do their work? People that other people in the country are trusting. So it is quite a challenging time, but we are committed to work through the constitutional structures. We are committed to work with civil society. We need to bring South Africa back where Nelson Mandela places on the road of freedom, and now we're sitting in a situation of bondage.
Dennis George, General Secretary of FEDUSA, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, that's where we leave it for your news section. Your market news with Nzinga is coming up next after a short break.